The Singing Chef. Today I'm going to make a recipe for you that is not Southern at all. I'm actually going to go across the Pacific and cook some Asian food for you today. Every once in a while I have cravings for international cuisine thanks to all of my travels in my cruise ship life. Love having Asian and Spanish and Mediterranean and all those different flavors in my arsenal. So today we're going Asian. All right, so I'm actually going to make this a 2-for-1 recipe video. The first one is for a really quick cauliflower vegetarian stir fry that I eat just as a snack all the time. All you have to do is take a head of cauliflower, break the florets, and then a few florets at a time, toss those in your food processor. Then you're just going to pulse that about 3 or 4 times just until it becomes kind of the consistency of what you know as cauliflower rice probably. Almost looks like snow in this bowl. And that is what we're going to use for the base of the stir fry that's really, really quick and simple. That stir fry is going to go in the second recipe, and that is for one of my favorites, which are chicken lettuce wraps. Oh my goodness. I love chicken lettuce wraps for the flavor, but mostly for texture. Some dishes I crave because I want all those flavor combinations, which this one certainly has, but this is one of those dishes that texture is one of the most important things, and I'm going to show you how to do it at home. All right, so let's get started with our cauliflower. Over here, I've already got this burner going with this pan. I'm just testing to see if it's hot, and it's dry. There is no fat, no oil, no butter, no nothing in the pan, and that's what you're going to drop your cauliflower into. Now, the reason that we want the pan to be dry is that we want to get some caramelization on this cauliflower. And that will happen far quicker and still keep the texture of the cauliflower without having to add the oil. Now, I'm going to just kind of flatten that out into the pan to get sort of a crusty layer. It's kind of like, think about making Spanish paella where you want a good crust on the rice. It's the same process but with cauliflower. This cauliflower is also going to inject some much needed vegetables into these chicken lettuce wraps while still providing that amazing texture. I'm going to let these go in the dry pan for a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to stir them to put the other sides of all these little crumbly bits of cauliflower on the flat surface of the pan to get those nice and caramelized. Once I'm finished with that, I'll be right back. All right, y'all, we are back, and our cauliflower has started to get a little bit of brown caramelization on it. I'm going to use my wooden spoon to scrape those crusty bits off the bottom of the pan. There's plenty of flavor in there that we want. And then the last step for this simple and easy, as you've noticed, like 10-minute stir fry rice is cauliflower. It's not really rice. Is to add a splash of soy. I'm using low sodium soy, and about a teaspoon and a half of sriracha. Now, I would probably put more sriracha, but I'm going to actually add more sriracha later to the chicken lettuce wraps. So I'm not going to overdo it with this right here. Once that soy and sriracha get mixed in, I mean, it's like kind of the perfect, easy, quick side dish if you wanted it. But I honestly, sometimes this is lunch. Just some cauliflower, a little soy, which adds some salt. You could add garlic to this if you wanted some garlic flavor in it. Honestly, this is all right by me, just as is. Look at that beautiful golden color. All right, so I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit. I wanna taste this just for flavor. See how we did? That's good, but I think it does need a little bit more salt, so I'm gonna choose soy instead of just salt. I'm gonna drizzle of soy. And like I said, I'm not gonna overdo it on the sriracha because I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later. I think that will be perfect. So, for now, I'm just gonna transfer all of that cauliflower stir fry back into a bowl and set it aside. I'm gonna fold it in a little bit later into the rest of my chicken lettuce wrap mixture. Now, in all honesty, when I go to a restaurant and I see chicken lettuce wraps, it is really hard for me to not order them. I crave them and love them, like I said, for the texture. And I could honestly skip the lettuce part altogether, if I'm totally honest with you, and just have the mixture that goes in the lettuce wrap. All right, so I've got a second pan here. Like I said, I'm just gonna set this cauliflower that we cooked off to the side. I'm gonna add that in just a little bit. All right, next, let's get to the chicken of it all, right? So I've got a pan over here. I'm gonna heat up a little bit of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon or two into the pan. And I've got ground chicken. So again, this is a texture thing. I want like a crumbly texture to match with all the other textures that are in the lettuce wrap. So we're using a pound of ground chicken, which is pretty lean. And actually, this is a pretty healthy dish. There's not a ton of fat at all. Actually, there's kind of zero real fat, like other than the olive oil that's in the pan. Now, once that gets to where it is hot, put this ground chicken, take out the wrapper, we don't want to eat that. And then I'm just gonna start breaking it up in the pan. Because that is raw chicken, I'm gonna take a small break so that this has some time to start heating up and getting nice and golden, because you got to bring this to fully cooked. Chicken, you cannot have it a medium rare. So make sure that that goes for at least, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes so that it is fully cooked. That'll give me time to wash this spoon that now has the raw chicken on it, give this some time to cook, and I will be right back. All right, y'all, we are back. So I've got my ground chicken over here in the pan that is cooking off, and it is almost done. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's, quite a bit of salty flavor in soy sauce, so I don't add a ton of salt, but this is one moment that I actually do. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, pretty heavy pinch, to the chicken, because chicken just doesn't have a ton of flavor on its own, so you wanna try to season as you go, all right? I'm gonna also have some black pepper in the mix here. Add a little bit more flavor to that chicken. Like I said, it is almost done. Now, your ground chicken is going to release quite a bit of grease into your pan, and we're going to drain that once it's had time to complete cooking. So the next step that we're going to do is actually we're going to drain this chicken into a colander over here on the side, and then I'm going to get some aromatics going. You know, I always love to have some onion and garlic in almost every dish, and this dish is no exception. Ton of flavor there. We're also going to add several Asian condiments to the mix of things, some grated fresh ginger root, and then the other textural component that I love in chicken lettuce wraps are water chestnuts. Now, you can get a can of water chestnuts for like 50 cents or something crazy in the Asian section of your any food store. And so they're pretty inexpensive, but the thing you're gonna wanna do with those water chestnuts, I just wanna warn you now as my chicken is continuing to cook off over here, is you're gonna wanna drain those. They come in slices that look like that. You're gonna wanna drain those completely and then wash them off before you dice them up for this dish. Because there's gonna be some sandy grit still in those water chestnuts in that can, and you don't want that in your dish. So you wanna make sure that you rinse those really, really well. Okay, you've been forewarned. Let's keep going. All right, my chicken is really well done now, which is where you want chicken to be. Like I said, you don't want any medium rare chicken. That is not a thing. All right. So I'm just gonna use this colander over my trash bowl to drain this chicken. There. Now, in this same pan is where we're gonna make the magic happen for these lettuce wraps. First thing I need to do, one more drizzle of olive oil in the hot pan, and then we're gonna saute an entire yellow or sweet onion. Whatever you got is great. But we've gotta get some flavor in here, so onion and garlic is the way to go. Ooh, that black pepper I think got in my nose a little bit. All right, done with that. The other moment that I'm going to add actual salt to this dish is right now. And it's just the tiniest of pinches, because actually this pinch of salt is gonna help sweat these onions faster, okay? To these onions, I got some fresh ginger root and my little microplane here. The best way to peel a ginger root I found is actually just using a spoon, like a normal from your silverware drawer spoon. And you just take the edge of that spoon and scrape down the side of the ginger root, and it comes off like that. Like, it is so quick and easy versus trying to use a knife and like cut away. You lose half of the ginger that you really want to go in your dish. So I'm gonna do quite a bit of this ginger into the pan with the microplane. Tap, tap, tap. And grating it just gets more of it everywhere. You try to like slowly dice it. I don't know why anybody would do that, because ginger is a flavor bomb and it will blow you up. If you have too much of it, it can be a bad thing. So I just grate it in probably about, I'd say, a tablespoon of grated ginger going in. And then you want to make sure the back side of your microplane, if you're using one, that you scrape out all the ginger that's grated back there, because waste not, want not. Great. Stir that around in with those onions. Oh my goodness, that already smells so good. Onions are starting to get a little bit more translucent. Now, with this onion, I should have said this as well. We were talking about texture earlier. I kind of want everything in this mixture to be about the same size for the same mouthfeel of texture. So I did probably the finest dice I've ever done on an onion. Like, it's like Crystal White Castle hamburger dice. Maybe that's something that will make sense to people other than me. Crystal if you're from the South, White Castle if you're from anywhere else. Tiny, tiny dice on your onions as much as you possibly can. You can accomplish that dice easier if, when you lay the flat side down of the half of an onion, you take your knife and you go through one time before you slice and dice. Go through twice as safe as you can with your flat hand on top. That'll help you get to that dice faster. And then take your time and just do ever so slowly the tiniest increment back as you're dicing. And there you go, that's all you need. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so now I got my garlic here. 3 cloves. Lots of garlic going in the mix. Minced that garlic. So that goes in the pan as well. And man, when that garlic hits, the bloom of smell is amazing. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to take the cooked chicken that I already have over here drained and put it back in my pan. Put all of it in there. That's the last time I'm going to need that trash bowl. Put this in there. Mix the chicken into the onions and garlic and ginger so that those flavors start absorbing into your chicken. Like I said, chicken doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, so putting them back in the pool now is a good thing. All right, next, the cauliflower mixture that we had earlier. That is also going back in the pan. Every bit of it. I'm making a ton of this because I like it and I could eat it for days, and I probably will. So now the cauliflower is going in with the chicken, the onions and the garlic to make the base of the mix that's going in our lettuce wraps. Okay, now I told you about these water chestnuts, right? I've already chopped up most of the can. So I've got a couple of 3 more here that I just took out to show you. They come, so, you know, as circles, right? So all you're gonna wanna do is just chop across the circle one way, turn it, chop the other way. That's gonna get you a nice dice on those. But before I get to those, let's add some Asian flavors. All right, the first thing that is gonna go in this bowl is some soy sauce. I'm gonna add it's a half a tablespoon, 1.5, 2.5 tablespoons of the low sodium soy. The next condiment that I have over here is rice vinegar. Rice vinegar is far milder than other vinegars, but it still has a punch of tang in it, which I love. So again, I'm gonna do half, 1.5, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Then, for my sriracha, I'm just gonna eyeball this because it's in a squirt bottle, but I'm gonna try to do, based on my heat level, about 2 to 3 tablespoons. That's about 1, that's about 2, and that's about 3. I'm gonna taste this for flavor as I keep going. And I wanna get all of that mixed in there into the cauliflower and the chicken, which is gonna soak up all that flavor. Like I said, I like a decent amount of spice, so if you want to cut back on what I said, that's perfectly fine too. You just take it maybe a tablespoon at a time and see where that gets you for your version of lettuce wraps. All right, the last condiment that I'm gonna put in is one of my favorite Asian condiments ever. It is hoisin sauce. It is used on its own as a dipping sauce all the time. I use it in my barbecue actually because I love the sweet flavor of this sauce. We are gonna use at least 1/4 of a cup. I'm gonna just see how this goes. It's a pretty thick sauce, and that's going to help us out with the texture on this dish too. That's about 1/4 cup. Get all that goodness in there. Let's see how that does us. Put that in, stir that around, And that's what's going to give the sweet against the heat in these chicken lettuce wraps. Mix that all in there. It's also starting to thicken up, which is good. The liquid that was released from the onions pretty much goes away as it absorbs into this mixture. All right, lastly, I'm putting in those water chestnuts that we talked about. It's a full 8-ounce can, thinly diced. Again, for texture. Alrighty. Put those in the mix. I put those in last because I don't want to cook those much. I really want some texture again to the dish, so the crunch of those water chestnuts, I think are what make lettuce wraps so amazing. I'm gonna let these cook for a few minutes and then we're gonna talk about garnishes. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, it is time. It is lettuce wrap time. I'm so excited. All right, let's talk some garnishes. Last thing I'm gonna throw into the pan at all are some green onions. And I've just taken the green stalks and I'm gonna run my knife through. This is for flavor, but mostly just for some color into the dish, because otherwise it's pretty beige. And beige food can be good food, don't get me wrong. But you know, a little color on the plate never hurt anybody. Toss those into the mix. Then let's start plating. All right. I have some bib lettuce here that I'm using today. You could use iceberg just as well. I've seen restaurants do both. Today I'm just happen to find some bib lettuce that looked pretty good, so I'm gonna use that. All right, so I'm gonna take a little scoop of this mixture, put that right in the center, and then I'm gonna take a few leaves of cilantro. You can have this already chopped, ready for you on the side if you want. Put that into the wrap. And then I have some roasted peanuts for just one more texture of crunch in these lettuce wraps. I'm just gonna run my knife through to get those super fine, so that again, everything in this lettuce wrap is about the same size, but there's just so many different crunchy, good textures. A couple of those peanuts on there. Don't let that piece of chicken run away. And one more cilantro leaf for good measure. And that is my version of a chicken lettuce wrap. Oh my gosh, look at it. It's so pretty. I love it. So you know I gotta try this thing now that I've cooked it. Ooh, it's gonna be a messy bite. Yes! Okay, you guys have to try this. I mean, there's so much good flavor in there. The garlic and the onions mixed with the sriracha, the soy, and the ginger. It tastes amazing, but the texture is what is so perfect. And we've used that cauliflower to not only get some vegetables into the dish, but it expands how much of this you have for your filling to go for multiple people when you have them over at your house, or just for multiple meals throughout your week. You could heat this up throughout the week and throw in a piece of lettuce, take it to lunch, and you are good to go. I hope you will try this recipe. It is so, so good. And I also hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bradley the Singing Chef. Please like and share these videos. Share them with your friends. I love cooking, but more than anything, I love cooking for you and for other people. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you will always eat well and love always.